Okay, so my name is JQ Sirls. I am founder and CEO of Storytailor. 75% of the time you'll ever spend with your child happens before they're 12. Think about that for a second. 75% of the time you will ever spend with your child happens before they're 12 years old. That's something that I've thought about for a very long time. Now that I'm a dad, I didn't think about it before. Before I was dad, I just liked cartoons. So let me give you, I don't really want to pitch Storytailor more so than I want to tell you a very short story in the time that I have. I'm from Kansas City, born and raised here. One thing that I always liked about here was the Disney's original studio. Even though it's basically decrepit, I remember thinking that if Disney came from Kansas City, I could. From that, all I ever cared about was whimsical stories. I mean, if Where the Wild Things Are, Calvin and Hobbes, I loved everything about it. But it always seemed that every single time I saw a story that dealt with anybody imaginative, those characters didn't look like me. All the characters that looked like me, it was the 700th story of Martin Luther King or the 800th story of Malcolm X. Now, I'm not saying that those are bad. I'm just saying that where the hell is Toy Story for people who look like me, right? I didn't see that. So I wanted to make that. So at 7 years old, this is what I would do. I would stop TV shows halfway through and I would write the rest of the episode. And from doing that and from drawing and writing, I ended up being mentored at Hallmark as a 7-year-old. This happened actually from a competition. It was a competition that dealt with, it was actually with elementary school, middle school, and high school. And when I did it, I actually beat the high school, and they thought I was a high school student, finding out I was 7. And so I ended up being mentored at Hallmark, and I ended up being mentored by a lot of award-winning authors and illustrators at the time. From there, I really wanted to understand what was it like to make a children's book, and I've dedicated my entire life toward it. Almost such as so, I got a degree from Rockhurst, specifically in English and writing for children. I also have an MBA in innovation, specifically in EdTech, writing for children. I've actually helped create the books department at abcmouse.com. If you guys have ever used ABC Mouse and did anything with stories, I was behind that. And then I've worked at Sony Pictures. There was an author there who I helped reach the New York Times bestseller list. I say all that to say that storytelling has always been my thing. It's always been a very curated thing, and I've curated my entire life for it. What made me really get to that point was actually when I wanted to make my first book. It was called No Monster No, and it was about a little girl who took the monster under her bed to school and taught him manners. I did that. I sent it to publishers. The publisher said that we don't believe your story captures the Black experience enough. And so and now we're talking about 200 rejections later. What I did was I went to go find their manufacturers, the distributors. I found every single publishing. I even worked at HarperCollins, pretending I actually really wanted to be there so that I could understand how publishing worked. When I found out all of their manufacturers and their distributors, I created my own publishing, and now I can make books better than any publisher myself. All right. But when I figured that out, I also understood that I wanted to learn this not only so that I can make my own books, but so that I can teach others how to do it. But in order to make a really good book, it's about $20,000 minimum. That didn't work. So what ended up happening was I realized that tech was the way to go. And so I taught myself software engineering. I taught myself UI, UX design. I specifically started working at places like Salesforce and Apple. I'm very determined, if you can't tell. And I wanted to figure out a digital way to do so. Over time, I had some help from some friends at Pixar who helped me with a really cool story that helped kids create their own storytelling. But from there, I started to think that maybe AI might be the way to go. And so that was when I started to work with AI, training it on me. My entire, I'm 39, so with 30 plus years of storytelling experience, I started to train AI into that so that I could teach the real authors and illustrators of books, which are parents and the teachers, not the people who want to write, but the people who know your kid. And that's how Storytailor was born. So what is Storytailor? Storytailor helps anyone, anywhere, in any language create a personalized story for their child in under 90 seconds. Now, I'm not talking about ChatGPT, make a story for my kid. I mean understanding every single beat of a story. That means a little girl who's Samoan and half Black, who's autistic and in a wheelchair, can make a story today about her experience while also injecting math, while also injecting self-confidence, while also injecting all kind of random things. And what I mean by that is, my son made a story the other day about Mr. Poop and Mr. P battle a Kung Fu toilet. right? Right. So that was my son's story, but he's also having confidence issues. So I put in the confidence issues. So what happened was that Mr. Poop was a little nervous because he didn't think he could actually defeat the toilet. It was random, it was gross, but my son loved it, and I found out that his schooling, his school grades and his confidence in his testing has gone up 30%. And that was all from me building out Storytailor to honestly test it on my son to see if it works, Storytailor has been, and we now have a little over 5,500 users around the world, 200 as of the last 2 weeks. And we are in Children's Mercy right now. We're in a couple other children's hospitals. I was featured on MSN as like one of the top 10 influential people to follow, which is crazy. We've been in Techstars, we've been in Generator, Techstars Abu Dhabi very specifically. That was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about that market. I found out that less than 0.06% of books that featured Arab children, actually only 6.06% of books featured Arab children, and even then they were the third character, they weren't the lead character, and that was all because of the biases of the industry. So in Storytailor, you make a story. When you make that story, it comes with off-screen activities. Those off-screen activities are very specifically so you can get off the screen. In Storytailor, I do not want you to be on the screen for a long time. You go to Storytailor, you make a story, you play with your kid. You spend time with your kid, and then you get back to Storytailor, make a story, print it off, spend time with your kid. If you guys get a chance, Storytailor.com. I'm happy to see you there. Thank you.